Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be working on the Nova, sort of. Well, we are going to be working on the Nova. But what we're going to be working on is transmission things. Powerglide transmission things. I bought a gasket set. And that's mostly to change out all the old gaskets on the outside of the transmission. So this gasket set does come with like pump gasket, and I'm not changing all those, just the gaskets that are kind of on the outside, because I get some leaks or fluid coming out, and underneath of the car is always like wet with transmission fluid. So we're doing two things. One, we're gonna reseal it. Two, we're gonna build a overflow tank that's gonna mount to the front of the transmission down there in front of the pan, and it's going to go from the vent tube, which is up on top of here, and any fluid that does come out of the trans will go into this container. I looked at buying one, and from Summit and stuff they're like 140 bucks, and pretty much all it is a 10-inch wide, 10-inch long 2x2 square aluminum box with some fittings on it. So I went out and I bought fittings. So we got push lock fittings. One's going to go into the transmission. One's going to go into the container, and then a line will connect that. This is a breather filter, which is going to go on the top. And it's exactly the same stuff that the one you can buy comes with. And then the only other thing I need, which I don't think I have here and I'll have to get, is like a drain petcock to put on the bottom or on the side to empty it out when it gets full, if it ever gets full. I don't think it really loses that much fluid, just enough fluid to make a mist on the underside of the car. I'm hoping anyways, so I don't think it's a bad thing anyways to have that. And I'm going to attempt today to make it out of aluminum. So I have a piece of aluminum and it's already cut to 10 inches. It's already marked off at 2-inch intervals. So we're gonna have to cut 4 pieces and weld it together. So I don't know how this is gonna go, because I'm not, the greatest aluminum welder, but I do need practice. So I figured this is a good thing to practice on. And worst comes to worst, I have steel. I could always make it out of steel too, but I got the aluminum here. I figured I might as well give it a try. So what we're gonna do first is we're gonna cut our 4 pieces, and then of course we need end caps that'll go on at the end. So let's get to work.
Flies coming for us. Fuck.
All right, before we get started with the transmission stuff, I thought I'd update you on the car. So as you can see, the engine is mostly back together. I didn't end up filming it. I just came out here and I started doing it, and I mean, you saw it come apart. Same process, putting it back together. So everything went good. Transmission cooler fits pretty much the same as it was before, and you can't even see the steering rack anymore. Basically, it's so buried up in there. I did run into one issue, which I'm not going to get into today, but we'll get into that in the next video, because that's when we'll be taking care of it. But otherwise, everything bolted back in just like normal. The intake is still not bolted on because, as you can see, the body filler keeps cracking here. I don't think the intake is cracking. I think what's happening is when it makes boost, the intake actually expands a tiny bit, and then it's causing the body filler on the top to crack. So that's another thing we got to do. We got to strip the intake down. It only did it on the one side. Like, this side is perfectly fine. So unless it's just an adhesion issue, we're going to strip that side down and have to redo it. So that'll be in another video also. So let's get doing the transmission. So even though I marked it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this, because this is exactly 2 inches. I'm going to use it as my template to at least score it and get it cutting. I was thinking about trying to cut it like halfway through and bend it. Maybe we'll try it on the first one and see what happens. Because if I could just cut it halfway through the aluminum, bend it, then I'd still have to weld it, but I wouldn't have to weld it, it would be still kind of connected. So I got to get some stuff together cutter. We got the, and then I need my helmet and stuff. Let's get to cutting here. Well, that looks about halfway through. Let's see if I try to bend it. Doesn't really. A metal brake. If I had a metal brake, obviously I could make quick work of this, but here, I'll go this way. I'll just cut it and I'll have to weld them all together. All right, so that's one. One chunk just needs to be cleaned up. I'll cut the other ones and come back when they're all done. I got all the pieces cut. I even cut the end caps, which I might have to recut those, but what I did is I'm putting it on this big piece of steel, which is for my press, so that I can line it up. So what I'm hoping to do is line up this one, weld it, or at least tack it. You know, I want to try to keep it square, right? So that's pretty much ready to go to be welded, at least tacked. The only thing I got to do now is clean it, which I'm going to use a brake clean, the non-chlorinated. You don't want to use this stuff. You don't want to use the chlorinated stuff to clean because the fume's very bad. So we're going to use the non-chlorinated to clean it. I also have like a stainless steel wire brush to clean it extra clean. And then we're going to attempt to weld it. And like I said, at least we're going to tack it together. I don't know if I can, because maybe I can tack it, then tack the other side, and then even tack all four sides together to make sure it is square before I weld it all. I don't know. I've never done this before, but we're going to give her a try. It'll probably be a disaster, but whatever. We'll figure it out. So what I think I'm going to do first, even though I have this kind of, I still got to clean all this, but I have it mostly kind of set up, is I think I'm going to give a quick welding of this. Not a welding, but just to see if, you know, my settings are okay. Once again, I've welded aluminum, and I can weld aluminum, if that makes sense. I've done it, and it's obviously worked out, but you know, it is tricky, and let's move this out of the way. And I'm not really 100% worried about dime stacks. Just good welds that are welded. I definitely need more practice, especially when it comes to aluminum, but like I said, you don't get good if you don't practice. Ugh. You know, see, I started filming, I thought, you know what, I'm all good to go. I don't have my helmet, I didn't have the rod, I don't have anything ready. Sheesh. Alright, unprepared. My helmet has a Canada flag on it because I'm from Canada. I just want to kind of, with this piece here, I just want to more kind of figure out, you know, how long it takes to start it melting and if my settings are okay. I don't even know if I'm going to add any filler rod at first. I just want to kind of see how I was definitely melting it. Maybe I gotta turn it up a bit more. Amperage. I mean, it started to melt, but it seemed like it was taking quite a while. I take that back. I think maybe it was melting and I just am stupid. Because there it started to melt like right away. First one, I don't know what I was doing. But by that third weld, or whatever you want to call it, bead. Oh, that is really hot. It wasn't too bad. So let's just get into this and see what happens. I did use the flap wheel to like clean off if there's any kind of like protective coating on here. That's the thing they say with TIG welding, and probably aluminum welding even more so, is that everything's got to be clean or else forget about it. Your welds are not going to work at all. Let me ask you a question while I'm doing this. You can post in the comments below. Do you like videos where they make like, okay, two types of videos. One, like this video today. I showed you a little bit of cutting these pieces. Then I just cut them and I came back when it was like done. Or would you rather fast motion with some kind of weird music playing in the background that barely shows anything, but you know, you're still seeing it, if that makes any sense? Because I seem to find that a lot of channels that I watch, that's what I see a lot of, and I don't really, it doesn't really do anything for me to see like fast motion. I don't really see what they're doing, you know what I mean? Like they're going and they're just quickly doing things and then they're like, all right, we're done. So I'm not really seeing what they're doing anyways. Like if I was interested in like how they're putting, and the thing is they'll do it for like start to finish almost. Okay, we're gonna make this bracket, and then they just go and they make the bracket, and then it's like, oh, but I didn't really even see what you did. I don't know. You guys tell me what you think. All right, so we're gonna try this. And like I said, what we're gonna do first, oh my God, is I think we'll just kind of tack it in place. I got this kind of holding it down just to make it, A, it doesn't move as much, and B, kind of be flat, because it almost looked like it was bowing up a tiny bit. Could be the way it's sitting on this. So what my plan is here is I'll try to put a tack kind of at the end and then maybe in the middle and the end. And then we'll see about, you know, whether I'm going to just weld this whole thing or if I should kind of make it into the box first. Let's see what happens. See, I don't know if I'm not pressing on the pedal hard enough. That definitely wasn't enough amperage when I looked over. I mean, is it this thing maybe sucking the heat away? Like I don't know. It's totally not working. Wow, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I'm lost, guys. I don't know. But you know what? I'm going to keep going and keep trying. I mean, it's blobbing. I don't know. It's like, it almost seems to me like it's not melting. I don't know. All right, so of course I turned the camera off and decided to move over from that first spot, and then I welded it, and it welded like this. Which, while maybe not perfect, is pretty damn good if you ask me. So how, I don't know. I think here I started off with a big blob and it just got worse. And then here I started with nothing and I just worked my way down. I don't know. So I'm just gonna try to keep going here. You know, it feels like it's moving a bit, which doesn't even make sense, but, and then we'll have to come back to this corner. I'm gonna weld another section, and if it doesn't weld good, then I'm gonna say it must be the camera, or you guys are watching me, and then you know how when someone's watching you, you can never do a good job, it seems like. So, but let's hope that's not the case, so let's see what happens. Maybe I have stage fright. I don't know. I gotta clean the tungsten because I touched it, but I did that whole bead and it was good, and then now it's not going good again. I'm not gonna lie, that was a disaster, like I said it was gonna. So we started with this, then we took a break, and then we went to this, which was, I think, acceptable. Then it got all blobby, and then I turned the camera off and I did this part. Then I had the bright idea to turn this like sideways like this and weld it, and then it just did this, and then it blew a giant hole at the end. So yeah, not good. I mean, like I said, if it would weld like, if I could weld like this, I'd be happy, but very inconsistent. Definitely need tons and tons and tons more aluminum practice. I mean, I welded like I welded this V-band, well, you can't really see it, but I welded this V-band on here. I mean, it was pretty thick material. I mean, it could be that aluminum too, could be shitty kind, I don't know. So anyways, we're gonna go with the backup plan. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna cut out from this steel, I am gonna cut out and I'm gonna make it out of steel instead, because at the end of the day, I just thought I had the aluminum, I'll make it out of aluminum. It's good practice. And I'm still gonna, all these pieces that I cut, I think I'm still gonna weld them together as practice type of thing, but, and obviously this piece here that I munched up, maybe I can cut it into pieces and practice welding it together. But like I said, I definitely need more aluminum practice. Practice makes perfect, etc., etc. They say. So I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to repeat what I did on the aluminum on the metal, and I'll come back when that's all cut up, and then we'll start welding it, and maybe that'll weld okay, I don't know. We're back. We got new material, metal this time. Basically the same idea. Now I could have got a piece of square tubing somewhere, but I tried to get some, because I thought, well, if I get square tubing, I can just weld ends on it and be done with it. But it seemed like nobody had thin wall metal tubing. All the stuff that I found was thicker wall, and then I found like angle iron, which I could have just welded two pieces together, but it was expensive. I figured, well, I had this, well, aluminum, I already had it, and I already had this metal, so rather than spend money, I would just do it this way. But yeah. So we're all set up here, and we're going to kind of do the same thing. We're going to tack it, then I guess weld it and see what happens. Alright guys, so that's a little better than the aluminum welding, I would say. So I guess what I'm just going to do is keep welding, and I'll come back once I get a little more accomplished. Here's what we got so far. So we got one side welded, and then this side tacked, and this side tacked. So Like I said, it seems like an awful lot of work when I probably could have just bought a piece of tubing, but on the end of the day, it's also some kind of practice welding, so I don't mind. But it's definitely turning out a lot better than the aluminum one did. We actually have what we need. And being metal, it'll be easier because I gotta drill it, tap it. I might have to weld like a little piece of metal to make it thicker so I have more to tap into to put the fittings and stuff on. So I think this should work out pretty good. So I'm gonna finish welding it all up and then I'll come back, and then when I come back, we're gonna have to figure out where the fittings go, drill and tap and everything those, because I wanna be able to, like, not that it matters, but clean it out nice before I weld the ends on. So I'm gonna do that. All right, so there it is in its glory. I don't know. I mean, definitely could be welded better. I mean, nicer looking, but it's definitely welded up. So then I made a top and a bottom. So there's a top, bottom. We're gonna have to weld those on, drill a few holes. And also we have to make some little mount brackets to mount it to the front of the transmission bolts. So I'll probably weld one end on and then afterwards make the holes and all that stuff and then weld on the second one. Got the end welded on, one end, and then I made some little brackets because pretty much it's going to have some brackets welded to it like this, one on each side, that's going to bolt to the pan. Now this is the pan gasket. So what I'm doing is I marked on this piece of aluminum. I'm going to take this to the drill press, drill it, and then it'll be my guide so that I can kind of put it here, bolt it to the brackets so that they'll stay square. Otherwise, it's kind of hard to do it on the transmission because I got to weld it and stuff. So luckily, I remember that I had this gasket from this gasket set, so I just took that out, and I'm going to drill those holes, and then we'll fit it all up, and then I'll weld those little brackets on. I got my piece of aluminum with the holes drilled, which is going to be our transmission. I drilled these holes like apparently exactly the right size for these bolts. And then we're going to just weld these right to here. That'll be our mounting bracket, and it'll bolt right to the transmission, I hope. All right, so we got those welded on. I drilled the hole on the top, and the hole in the top is for the little vent filter dealy. I also drilled a hole in the bottom here, which is for the petcock, which I don't have yet. And then I drilled a hole on the end, and that's where the fitting's gonna go in, that the line's gonna come from, that's gonna collect the fluid. So, I don't know if this will go big. Oh no, this isn't even the one. Jeez. Of course, it doesn't go big enough to fit this. This is a big. This isn't big enough. I wonder if I can just put it in the vise maybe. Use the vise to. That seems to be working. Yeah, it's going in there. Okay, so that's going to thread in like that. I can put some thread, I will put some thread sealant on it. I mean, I'm going to paint this thing. So then we also have to do that there, for which, like I said, I still have to get the petcock. I don't think I have one laying around here. I thought I might, but apparently not. And then I have to tap the hole for the other fitting, which I'm not 100% sure if I have the right pipe tap for that, or if it's pipe thread, or I mean, this metal is thinner, but I still think that as long as it tightens up, it shouldn't leak from these holes. Try it in in there. And like I said, all I gotta do is get the drain. I mean, it goes in nice and tight, so that's that, and that's that. And then just this end here, I mean, I might be able to just thread this in. It seems to be 8th pipe thread. So let's try threading it with 8th. I think these are, they might even be like a, see, that's actually thicker there, it looks like. It's actually like these threads on these fittings are kind of a metric, sort of, not metric thread, because I remember having that issue putting them on my wastegates or my blow-off valves or something. Oh, there we go. All right. Then this just turns so you can put it wherever you want, but that's actually nice and tight. And then we got filter for the top and petcock. So all I got to do now is weld on the end cap, which I'll do now, and then paint it, and this will be done. So I'll paint it up. I'll give it another coat of paint. I mean, overall, I think it looks pretty good. I think it'll do the job. So I still need to get a petcock, and otherwise, she's ready to go. So then I'll have to tap the transmission for a fitting, and then run a little piece of line, and that'll be that. Here is the overflow bottle thingamabob. So I got this fitting here, and it goes right into here, and believe it or not, this is already tapped to this exact size. So that's perfect. So we're ready to go to mount this, put this in there. Tomorrow I'll come out here and we'll get pulling the transmission apart, change all the gaskets, mount that thing, and maybe we can actually get the transmission put back in the car tomorrow. See you tomorrow.